Hey everybody, it's Dave, Blue Jacket 66 here for a quick video. I'm in the process of moving my collection down to Florida, and it's really a scary, tedious process for me. I essentially decided for my big cards that I consider big cards, I'm gonna just bring them down myself in cases, which is frightening. I've made a couple trips, and just going through TSA, and they want to go through everything, and it's stressful for me. But I have another load, two big cases. I'm going to just bring one down at a time. And so I thought, well, I got this case, I might as well show a couple cards. Now, you got to realize on my videos, I'm not just going to flash up 3 Joe Jackson cards and tell you about them, call it a day. That's useless video for me. I like to give some information and want to hear more information, because these pre-war cards have all sorts of wormholes, side holes, rabbit holes, and deep dives. So as far as Joe Jackson goes, the problem with him is he has relatively few playing day cards, and they've always been expensive, and with good reason, but they've become more and more expensive, especially over the past 5 to 10 years. So I think, thinking back on it, I think I've owned like 5 different Joe Jackson cards. I still have 3 of them. 2 of them I bought a while ago, so I wasn't killed by them. One I bought recently, and I'll show that again because that's kind of an important card for me. So yeah, Joe Jackson, I would consider him, for me, a top 3 pre-war. It's Joe Jackson, it's Babe Ruth, it's Ty Cobb. Those are, in my eyes, on a tier all alone by themselves. There's quotes from Babe Ruth saying that, going on and on about the greatest hitter he ever saw was Ty Cobb, and there's certainly quotes from Ty Cobb saying the greatest hitter and player he ever saw was Joe Jackson. So Joe Jackson's tough. There is the 1940 play ball Joe Jackson that, it's Joe Jackson, so it's pricey. I don't particularly like that card. I did own it once in a PSA 5, sold it a long time ago. Its price is really jacked up. Now, the one that I gave away, and it hasn't been that long ago, I've given away some stuff on my channel, some good stuff, PSA 7 1960 Mantle, 5.5 59 Mantle, beautiful 7, who's that? Yastrzemski rookie card. Anyway, yeah, about 11 years ago, the W514 Joe Jackson. I didn't really thought it was a great looking card, and this has been a little while ago when cards. Anyway, it was about a $300 card at that time, and I just gave it away. I had a little contest on Net 54 years ago, and with some other things I gave away. I figure that card now is 20 grand. But that's the way it goes. I'm sure whoever has it enjoys it, or put that money to good use. So what are the 3 Joe Jacksons I have? So what I want to do is show the card and then talk a little bit about the issue. The easiest one is my most recently. It's the one I reacquired. You can go back and look at my video why I altered it. Iconic Joe Jackson card is my 1915. And so my lighting here is really screwy. Altered, torn in half at one point. This is, I don't know. This is it's a big card, and it is the #1 Cracker Jack card, I think, and it's one of his most iconic cards. I don't know what else to say about it. Remember the 1914, he had the same pose. 1915s are different in that they're a little thicker stock, and that when we turn this around, all the bio and stuff is upside down, with the 14s it's right side up. The other differences in the 14 and 15s, there's some players that are in the 1914, not in the 15, like Del Pratt. I had a Del Pratt at one time. I sold that again 12 years ago or so. I've seen it for sale once since then. K. Sarah. Remember the Mathewson? He has a 1914 issue. Big card. His 1915 is a little different. So there's a couple cards where they have different poses and whatnot. So that is my first one, the 1915 Cracker Jack Joe Jackson. The second one I have here is, well, first let's talk about some of the big cards for Joe Jackson. The big cards are his 1910 Old Mill. That's just a monster card. That in my eyes, that's his biggest card, his most valuable card. Now, you think about condition can vary some of these. It can kind of jump first, second, third, or whatnot. And the E91, which is kind of considered his rookie card, that's kind of obtainable in crappy condition, but I'm not a big fan of that card, and I've never had interest in getting it. Those are the two big ones in my eyes. There's other ones that are not cards, the Pinkerton and the Mendelssohn E1016. It's not really a card, but anyway, that brings us to the M101 4 and 5 series, and I have his, and that is, and the lighting's terrible, and there's like tornado warning here. This is with the Indianapolis Brewing Company back. This too is a Felix Mendelssohn pose. And sorry, I got this terribly screwed up finger. I know at least it didn't fall off and I didn't need surgery. But so you notice anything about these two cards? Anything? Yeah, I'll put up a little graphic there, but same pose. And I don't know, Felix Mendelssohn is definitely the photographer, and he definitely put out all these M101 4 and 5s. But the Cracker Jacks from 1915, so I don't know when the photo was taken, obviously before then. There is a Felix Mendelssohn, it's called the Felix Mendelssohn issue, and they're called M1016, and there's one known Joe Jackson. It's kind of a similar pose, it's not the same pose. And those are dated 1917 to 20 when they were put out, but I suspect that photograph as well was taken earlier, 14, 15, or something like that. Someone may know. So I say M101 4 or M101 5. Those are two different 200 card sets. There's a lot of overlap in the players. And I think maybe 30 of the players are in M1015, and the same players are in M1014. These were all released in 1916. They say the M1015 was released first. But essentially, Felix Mendelssohn, he was out of Chicago, and he advertised and ran ads and sold things out of the Sporting News. And actually printed these cards with this Sporting News back. And in the ad, which you can find, if you Google it, you can find the ad, he advertises for businesses to order these cards. He'll print your business name on the back, and you have advertising pieces, which this is what these were. And this was the Indianapolis Brewing Company advertising back. And you could order either a set of, I think it was a set of 500 of the 200 players, or you could order 500 sets, that is, or 1,250 sets. So there's like 20-something different backs, and I wrote them down here because there's no way I can remember them, but I'll put the graphic up here. So the most common is when these come in blank backs. The next most common, and I'm saying these because you see them. The Sporting News, Famous Bar, you see all those wild baking. Number 6 there is Herpelsheimer. Remember there was that big find of those recently. So those may have actually become even more common than perhaps the Globe. I don't know. And on down to in rarity. And it looks like Indianapolis Brewing is 9. I think it may be rarer than that Green Joyce advertiser or not, but these are Morehouse Baking there at number 14. That's interesting. There's an upcoming auction that I will disclose at some other date that has M101 Morehouse Baking Jim Thorpe in crappy condition, but rare back all the way down to Mall Theater. So that is them. I find this really interesting, all these advertising backs. And order of these rarities fluctuates because occasionally there's fines, and it doesn't have to be a large fine. If there's a fine of 10 to 20 cards, that can change you from being the 11th rarest to the 15th or 16th. And within these backs, there's certainly rarity among the players, where some players have very few copies. My Joe Jackson, there's only 2 of them with this back. This used to be the only one known, and then after I got it, I think a year or 2 later, another one is found in a lesser grade. So Joe Jackson, the M101 4/5 issue. And the last is, I think I'll show that M101-6 Felix Mendelssohn again. This was in golden auction way in the past. See that kind of similar pose? That's the only one known. My last one, and this is a biggie too, is this E135, the Collins McCarthy Joe Jackson. Things may be reversed in here, I'm not sure. I don't really usually use this camera. But these two, here's the back. Just really cool back. So these are 1917, and they're kind of called Collins McCarthy card, but they too have some different backs. Actually, the rarest is the blank back, and then you have the Boston Store and the Collins McCarthy, and I'll put the list of the different backs for the E135s there. And it's just so cool. I love the Collins McCarthy back the best. The standard biscuit I don't care for so much, but just to have any of them is a big deal. So here they are. We'll do it one more time. My only 3 and top 3 Joe Jackson cards in 1915. Cracker Jack, the M1015 Indianapolis Brewing Company, and this one, boy, these two, if you buy things on Heritage, you can put them in kind of your collection and just make it be known you'll take offers, and people can look through past archives and make offers. But yeah, I've even contacted some YouTubers and said, pre-war guys, that, man, I'm getting on this one especially some monster offers that I'm embarrassed not to take because it's huge money. And my thought is yeah, if I can sell this and get the money and pay taxes and whatnot, but I'm never get another one ever. So I'm keeping them for the time being, which is a long time in the foreseeable future, but you never know. So there they are, my 3 Joe Jackson cards, and the one that I gave away, the W514, which I wish I had back. So more videos coming, I think. I've got a couple ideas for some. I want to get a little more settled. I'd like to do a video down there, which will probably be where my next one comes from. So I hope you guys had a great Easter, and talk to you later.